Hey guys, Darren Kelly, Cultural Wise Reports, and welcome back to another trade mode ahead of round 16. This is the big round. This is the one that we've been talking about for months. It is finally here, so let's get straight into the trades this week. So let's start off by talking about who's on the bye this week. Obviously, we should all know who's on the bye this week. It's the last bye round of the season and it's the biggest one of them all. We've been talking about this round for a while, as it has a lot of fantasy relevant players that we have in our team. Now it has sort of decreased over the last couple months just due to some forced trades. Like the bad situation, a lot of people traded him out. Bruin's now gone from our teams, or should be gone by this week on your team. Obviously, Steele he's going to be gone, so that definitely reduces the load on our teams. Plus the Sinclair thing on the weekend, that as well. Same with the Nasiah. Not many people have Nasiah following his injury a few months ago, so it has definitely decreased over the last couple months, but it is still definitely something that we need to be aware of going into this week. So let's talk about the players that we do have on the bye this week. So let's start with Geelong. We have Baz, Holmes, and Bruin. So very fantasy relevant players. Again, I think Bruin, if you're trading out one of these guys, Bruin is definitely the one that needs to be gone from your team. He just gets thrown around too much in his side. It really depends on who's in the side. And we know Baz is going to come back following the bye, and he'll be back to this either half forward role, scoring 50s. I just think he needs to go. So get him out of your side. But I wouldn't be trading Baz or Holmes now if you held him through the last week or so. Just due to obviously their top line guys of their each of their lines, and they can definitely put up a big ceiling, and they should be good for the run home. The next one is Melbourne, so we have guys like Gawn, Pickett, Steele, and Sparrow. I think they're the most relevant players. Hopefully, I haven't missed any here. But definitely holding Gawn. He's the number one ruckman so far for the remainder of the season, assuming that he doesn't have Heath coming into his side. You've also got Pickett. Again, I know he's been a little bit disappointing, especially last weekend, but again, I still think he's going to be a top liner for the rest of the season, so I just hold him through. I think that he's just due for a rest, They have had a long period of time without a bye. They've gone 15 weeks or 16 weeks, however long it's been, without a break. So that's the longest in the AFL at this stage. So he just looked like he needed a break. So hopefully the bye does him well, and he'll definitely be a big target for a lot of us that don't own him. Jack Steele, get him out of your side. He has been probably the worst pick of the season, just especially if you traded into him post his big performances at the start of the year. It's a bit disappointing. Lost probably about 300k. Yeah, he just needs to go. So make sure you're trading him out of your side this weekend. And Sparrow, if you have him, I'd just be holding him through. Unless you absolutely are struggling with numbers this weekend and you just think you need to get off somebody, he's one that could go. But I think he's close enough to the top line in the forward line. He has a great role. He seems to be very consistent in there, so I'd just be holding him through there. Like, what is he averaging? 88 for the season. Consistently puts up 80s and 90s, a couple times in there as well. So yeah, absolutely be holding him through there. He's been a good pick so far. The next team is the St Kilda. So you got guys like Sinclair. Obviously, with his injury, he will need to go this weekend. Nasai, if you got him, would definitely be holding him. He'll be a massive target for people coming out of his bye next week. And you got guys like Wilkie, who's a little bit owned, but not highly owned. I'd again still be holding him just due to the Sinclair injury. He'll probably get more of the ball back down half back, so would be holding him through there. And the final team, we have the Western Bulldogs. Again, still some very fantasy relevant names. None other than Bont, obviously holding him through. He's starting to return to some form after, obviously, the injury niggles that we've sort of heard over the last couple of months. He's just starting to come good again. Richards, if you own him, he's a little bit more unique, but again, I'd be holding him. He looks like he's going to be around that mix of the top liners. English, if you got him, again, he's a bit of a tricky one because he hasn't really been performing great. Obviously, with the since injury, he's very cheap. But again, I think he's someone that I'd hold in that situation because he is starting to he is starting to return to some form. St Kilda matchup was tough, and he still put up 99 points, and he just starts to look like he's running on top of the ground again. So expecting him to have a big finish off with the season, and potentially is going to be a trade-in target post his buy. So yeah, I just think I'd be holding in that scenario. And then you got the guys like Dale, who is quite highly owned as well, nearly 10%. So if you have him, with all the injury concerns in the defensive line at this stage, I think what's the harm in holding him? I don't think you have too many defenders in your side unless you've got a lot of those guys that I mentioned here, like an Asaya, like a Holmes, uh, maybe a Wilkie, and then you got Dale on top of that. Then you might have to move off one of them, and I'd prefer to move off Dale of all three of those guys. But I think that's a very unique case. I don't think you'd have too many there. So that's the guys that are on the buy and where I sort of think where they should be at in terms of trade outs. But majority of them are keepers for the rest of the season, so I wouldn't be looking to jump off too many of them. But let's get straight into the trade out targets and talk about the guys that need to go this week. Obviously, we've got guys like uh, Sinclair. He is obviously a big trade out target because he is out potentially for the season. He's got a serious calf concern. They ruled out any Achilles injury, so that's good news for us in terms of next year because that would obviously be a 12-month injury. So yeah, that would be pretty terrible to lose him for that long period of time. But yeah, just 6 to 8 weeks is what the rough timeline is. So he was out for an extended period of time and could be for the remainder of the season. So he needs to go. Then they've got Steele, number two. He's been putrid, so let's get him out of our sides as quickly as possible. It sucks he's down to 800k because it does limit our options, but yeah, we'll do what we can to get him up to the players that's we want in our sides. Number three, I had Roberts. If you held him through last week like I did, then he's obviously another one that we want to be trading out of the sides. 2 weeks of a premium like that on our benches just is a long time, especially this time of season. So I'd be jumping off him as much as possible. It does mean you are potentially jumping off three premiums this week in Sinclair, Steele, and Roberts. But you just have to make do with what you can. There are a couple cheaper options that we'll get into very shortly. Number four, though, I did have Tanner Bruin. Again, he's been chopped and changed around over the last couple of weeks. Like he just puts up some decent scores, but then drops these 50s and 40s, and we just don't want that, especially going back into best 22 next week. We just need to have the best team possible and really limit those poor scores. Especially the time on ground is what concerns me the most for him. Like 57% time on ground is terrible. Even sub 70 is just not ideal. We don't want those players. We want them to be on the ground to maximise their scoring in each and every game, and he just isn't doing that at the moment. So here's my number four. And then number five, I've got Rechko as the rookie option that a lot of people have. He sort of has a bit of decent money on his head, 577k. He's done his job. He's now starting to go backwards in coin. He's up, break even of 74. Put up a 50 on the weekend. Got Collingwood this weekend, which is an okay matchup. So if you absolutely need him or you need that number, then he should be scoring okay. So I don't expect him to drop too much money. But again, we're just going to keep turning over these rookies, getting the money off their head as much as possible, and putting it into these big premiums. Because it is the final buy run and it is the final week that we're going to have three trades. So we want to try and maximize our upgrade as much as possible because we know two trades is much harder to get to those big dogs unless you're banking a huge amount of coins. So that sort of transition us into our trade-ins. So there's a couple different approaches that we can go into with trade-ins this week because it really depends what your targets are next week. So if you are targeting an Asaya, well, he's $1.05 million. He is a lot of money. So you're gonna have to bank a little bit of coin to be able to do that from a couple rookies, unless you're projecting to start sideways in some, mid-price sort of underperforming premiums. Like if you have a completed team, you've got 22 premiums out of this weekend. You're chilling. You can look to sideways those guys. But if you're someone that still has 21 premiums, even 20 premiums, and you're still potentially going to have some rookies on your field next week, then you have to trade out more rookies because you want to be getting to premiums on field and not relying on rookies on field. I know we have a couple rookies that are okay, like your HHK, your Hugos, uh, you know, Herbert is another one that we'll talk about in a second. That should be okay. Fitzgerald, we assume he will come back into form. Obviously, he was a bit disappointing on the weekend, but he's another one that we expect to continue to score well. But rookies are very hit and miss. We know that, and when we want to finish the season strong, we want to try and minimize them as much as possible. So it really depends on where your team is at this time of year. But your focus should be still get all the rookies off your field first, and then you can start sidewaysing these underperforming guys to the top liners from that point onwards. So where my team's at personally, I've got 21 premiums this week, and I will need to pick up my 22nd next week. So I will be looking to trade out 2 rookies next weekend and going to guys like Messiah or a Baz. So I need to bank a good 300, maybe even 400k this week, so I can facilitate those trades next weekend from 2 rookies. So you got to have that thought process of what you're looking to do in weeks come. To really determine what your ideal trade should be this week going forward. So let's get into the trading options though. So we'll start off in the defensive line. I think this is where most people obviously are trading into, whether you have a Sinclair, Roberts, Bruin, you got all these guys that are sort of defenders that need to sort of be traded out. So my number one trading target for the defenders this weekend is Luke Parker. I like what Parker's presenting at this stage. I'm just wondering why he isn't showing up. Or is he just further down the list? What have I done? Because I haven't clicked owned because he's in my team currently. So Luke Parker, he's my number one. He put up a great score on the weekend, 117, sorry. And he now starts to go into a really nice run of form, or matchups, I should say. He's got 5 weeks of good stretch. So he's got Essendon, great matchup. Port, sort of middle of the table, but should still be pretty okay there. Collingwood, we know they're great as well. And then Melbourne and St Kilda are up in the top 3. I think these are the top 3 best matchups for defenders to finish off. So the reason why I like him the most is that he's just super consistent and stable back there. There's no question marks of what he's going to do, who's around him. He's been that guy all season, and he's putting up some very decent scores. Like yes, 80s and 90s aren't the most attractive scores, but with a decent run, we're hoping that he can start hitting those 100s quite consistently. He does take a lot of marks back there. Doesn't take a huge amount of kick-ins. That's more Caleb Daniels' job and someone else's job back there. But he does receive them a lot of the time to be that general back down there. So expecting him to have a big month of football, and hopefully he can average within 100 at that stage and be in the contention to be a top 6 defender going forward until we start to be able to get these other guys like Inasai, your Holmes off their bye, and then we can start to finish our defensive line alongside like Ash, Whitfield. I'm trying to think who else is back there. A Noble is still there, who I'll talk about in a second. But I think Parker can fill that role for at least the next 5 weeks, and he's sort of the one that has the best run of the bunch of these next couple guys that we're going to mention. Well, number 2, I had Rory Laird. I think he's a pretty good option just because how good he's been performing recently, like 103 in his last 5, 107 in his last 3. But the thing you gotta mention here is that he has had some really good matchups in that time, like particularly the last 2 weeks. He's had Western Bulldogs and Melbourne. They're again top 2 in the defensive line for points conceded for defenders. So 10 marks and 12 marks, that's just not sustainable for a guy like Rory Laird. He will drop down to those 5, 7 marks coming in the next weeks, especially this weekend against Port Adelaide in the showdown. We always know they're going to be a bit more of a tight sort of game style. It's going to be more contested. It's not going to be super freedom to be able to just rack up the pill. So he should be okay, but you're looking at him for an extended period of time, which he should be okay against the Eagles and the Suns. And then even post that, it'd be, the Pies, Essendon, Richmond. Like, he's okay for the remainder of the season if you wanted to hold him there. So I think he's another great option there. Number 3, I still have John Noble as a good option. Just if you're looking to just go to the top of the tree, I still think he's an okay option. Obviously, was disappointing on the weekend with an 87. Even an 87 isn't too bad, but it's obviously not the heights that we wanted him to be with the amount we paid for him at $1.06 million or whatever it was at the time. But he does go into a Fremantle matchup, which is really, really tough. But again, this should mean silver lining, I guess, is the way I look at it, is that Fremantle should obviously win this matchup and should allow a lot of kick-ins and a lot of chip around the halfback because they will apply a lot of pressure and not give too much space. So I think the ball's going to be a lot in the defensive half, and that means Noble can get a fair bit of the ball, as they do rely on him a lot in that halfback role. So he should be okay again. And then even following that, you got the Pies. We know how good of a matchup they are. Western Bulldogs in a couple of weeks' time is obviously the best matchup, and then Melbourne. So it's a very up and down sort of fixture over the next 6 weeks, but still some very handy scores are going to be coming. So if you have the money to do it, I wouldn't be afraid to just go up to the top of the tree with Noble there. Number 4, I do have Josh Dacos. I don't love this option, I'll be honest. He looked putrid in the first 3 quarters of last week, where he was on like 47 points at the 3 quarter time mark, but he just put up a massive 60 points in the last term with like 16 disposals or something crazy like that. That's just not the way that I like to build my side. I it doesn't feel safe to me, and he is someone that does drop these lower scores quite often, and he does just junk the ball when it is late in games. So that's not the way that I particularly like to play. I like to have the guys that they want the ball in their hands. They are the main ball users. They look for him at pretty much every opportunity possible. And that's just not what Josh Dacos is at the stage. They've got Houston back there. They much prefer to use Houston to distribute the ball over Josh Dacos. Um, Even a Howe, they use him a fair bit back there, and they like to spread it to the wings like a Cripps, and obviously you've got Nick Dacos that just is everywhere on the field at all times. So he's just further down the list in terms of where the ball they want the ball to be. So yeah, I think he's an okay option at 4. He'll be fine this week, especially if you're looking just for a pop score against Richmond. We know how good of a matchup they are at this stage. But again, long term, he'll be someone that you probably want to trade out at some stage. I just don't see him quite being the big guy that we want going forward. And I think I'd go a little bit more expensive. Like Luke Parker is only 30k more expensive and has a much better run going forward, and has a much more stable, consistent role where they want the ball in his hands, I should say. So there's Josh Dacos, and then number 5, I have got Sam Banks. It's a tough one for me to get involved with because it is a bit of a riskier one. Obviously, sub 600k, there's not a huge amount of risk there, but I'm thinking about when we go into next week when there is best 22 again. Do you really want a guy like a Sam Banks on your field? That does scream very risky to me because we know he can drop these very poor 40s and 60s, and he's done that pretty much all season besides the last 2 weeks. And I'm still sort of struggling to see where the significant change has happened in his game. He just seems to be getting the ball a bit more often, uh, but there's no directional change of okay, he's going to take more kick-ins, he's going to get a lot more ball back there. So I think he's a great option as a 23rd man, but as a 22 on field, it is a bit risky. But again, if you do need someone that is cheap and it does open up access to other trades, you know, if you're doing the 3 premiums out this week, and Banks is that option, that downgrade option that allows you to free up some money to get to those big dogs like your Merritts, your Heaney's, your Andersons up in the midfield, then he's an okay option and should be fine to be considered trading in. He should also generate some money as long as he continues this trajectory. He should generate some good coin. So that is my top 5 defenders this week. A couple other options that I haven't spoken about. Obviously, if you have Whitfield and Nash, if you don't have them, sorry, they're obviously great options. They do have Hawthorn this week, so that is a little bit of a tougher matchup. But yeah, those obviously are top line guys, so you definitely get them in here. I've just factored in most people have them anyway. I wouldn't be trading in Desai this weekend. Just obviously he's still at the bye, unless you're really really light this week, and you just want to get him done this week so you can then grab Baz the week after, assuming you traded him out. Then absolutely do that. That's perfectly fine. Wilmot, I've had some question marks on Wilmot. My concern is that Zorko's only a couple weeks away from returning, and then that will return him to back to being this 70 to 90 sort of guy. So again, probably not. He'll be okay for the next couple of weeks, but he's not going to be someone that we want in our sides long term. So I think I'll just stay clear of that one. Newman against West Coast, I just wouldn't be doing that. Obviously, they've been running a double tag, and potentially they look to tag a Newman off halfback. So I just will avoid that one for now. Caleb Daniels just a trap. He's put up some very poor 50s and stuff like that, and a lot of 70s in his time. So that was just a bit of a pop score in a good matchup. Wangidi Malira, Wayne Miller, I should say. Uh, Again, Port Adelaide matchup. He's sort of a bit off the pace. He hasn't really shown a huge ceiling recently. His last big score was like 106 in round 11, and a few before that was like a couple 110 back to back. But yeah, I just don't think I'd be going there. He's had some really good matchups recently and hasn't quite delivered the way you'd expect. So I think we can let that one go through to the keeper at this stage. But that is probably it for the defenders. Let's move into the midfielders. Okay, so the number one midfield target has to be none other than Nick Dacos. If you do not own him, you need to own him this weekend. So get him in your side as quick as possible. But if you already got him, then a couple of other options have obviously come off their buy and are serious great options. So my number two target is Zach Merritt. He's got the North Melbourne Kangaroos this matchup, so this should be quite fruitful for him. He does love playing them, and they have been coming a bit of an easier side in recent times as well. They're not running that tag as much as they used to, so I think Merritt can find the ball at will. And we've been speaking about a Jordan Dawson who's been in some ripping form recently. We've seen him, average quite highly. But Merritt's not too far behind him. Like, he's averaging 120 in his last five, which is just absolutely ridiculous. 119 in his last three. And just looking at the scores that he's put up, back to back 120s, a 148 against Richmond only a couple weekends ago. Even a tougher one like a West Coast with a 109, who's obviously been running some tags in that time. So he was still able to get the job done. And he's just someone that is super consistent. Always seems to find the ball wherever he plays. We know he's sort of been chopped and changed around where he's playing at the moment. But we've been saying for the last couple of years that the halfback is a new midfield. So we realistically want these players in the halfback zone. And especially with Roberts going down last weekend or the weekend before that, there's more ball back there than there ever has been and more market share for these players to absolutely rack up. So Zach Merritt definitely fills that gap to be able to find the pill a little bit more than everyone else. So I just like him as a great option. Going to be a top 8 for the midfielder for the remainder of the season. Run going forward is sort of up and down. It's nothing amazing. It is what it is, but there's not a huge amount of great options going forward. So here's my number 2. Number 3, I've got Isaac Heaney. It was really hard to split these two in terms of Zach Merritt and Isaac Heaney. I think both are great options. Both are very similarly priced. But I just think I have more security with a Merritt where I know where he's going to be. I know how consistent he's going to be. Whereas Isaac Heaney, he does draw a lot of attention to his way every single week. He just knows everyone knows how damaging he is, so he can just pop a bit of attention every so often. But in saying that, he does seem to deal with it quite well. Like in his last couple of months, his lowest score has been like a 92. So that's obviously really, really nice. And that was obviously against a Finn O'Sullivan, a Finn O'Sullivan tag in that matchup, and he still performed quite well. He just can float forward and can kick a couple goals, so that's obviously quite nice. Does have a huge ceiling when he does get going. But the other thing that I need to mention is obviously Errol Goulden will come back, so that will take a huge market share of the team's points going forward. So got to be aware of that one going forward because he obviously will come back into the side in some capacity this weekend, whether that is a full-time midfield role or on the outside on the wing like we had seen in the past, or what we've seen more recently before he went down with his injury was sort of like a 50-50 split midfield and forward. So yeah, I just feel like Heaney could spend a little bit more time forward with Goulden back, but we also know that West Coast, sorry, that Sydney do have some other injury concerns with Justin McInerney went down with a bit of an injury for a little while. Warner's running through that midfield. They've still got Roe Bottom, James Jordan, a couple others as well that like to run through that midfield. So I'm just saying Heaney could spend more time forward going through the rest of the season. So I just feel like I have more security with a Zach Merritt, who we know has the runs on the board, has been a top 8 midfielder for the last decade. So I'd just be happy to pay up for him a little bit more. Number 4, I do have Noah Anderson. It's hard to deny his recent form. He's put up 5 of the last 6. He's gone 110 plus, which is really impressive. Plus a couple big ones like a 133 and a 143. He just doesn't scream security to me, and you're paying up a lot for him. Like I know Anderson, you're sort of happy to pay like 900, maybe 950, but he's at $1.04 million, which is a lot for him now. So, and he goes into a tough Fremantle matchup, which just isn't fantasy friendly. Like they are the toughest matchup going around at the moment. So that's just not great. So I just think he's definitely behind those other two. But if you already have the other two, then he's still a decent option going forward, just with his recent form. But expect low ones to be coming because he definitely does find the low ones every now and then. But to finish off the midfielders, I have thrown in Will Day as that cheaper option, 816k. He could just open up that flexibility for your trades if you are looking to move things around. He's been pretty good over his last few weeks from returning from injury. Obviously, Western Bulldogs are a good matchup, but he found a way to do it. 25 touches, 5 marks, 8 tackles. He just is a guy that hits all stat lines. Like he hits a few, he hits the scoreboard, he hits the tackles, he does pop up for a mark, and he can get a few disposals. I've referenced him closely to a Jordan Dawson, but obviously Dawson's is just in a different caliber of his own. But yeah, obviously the concern with Will Day is the time on ground. The time on ground just isn't quite getting to where we want it to be. We want it to be that 75% plus just to give him the maximum amount of opportunity to score. And I would have expected it to jump up a little bit more after the bye, but again, they are still just managing him through. They really just want him to get through the finals, so that's the only flag with All Day, is that they will probably continue to manage him as much as possible, uh, and he could have a rest at any stage if they are just on top of the ground, on top of the game, and are winning quite comfortably. But the other thing I really like about All Day is that they have a pretty good run going forward. Like the Giants are an okay matchup. He'll just find a way to get there. Melbourne again at UTAS should also help him. Colton's actually pretty tough in the last 5. They're obviously very applying a lot of pressure and winning a lot of their games, so that's the only tough one. But then they go into Richmond, Essendon, North, the Pies, and West Coast to finish off. So pretty good run there to finish off the season for All Day, and I definitely feel like he is a little bit of value at this stage. So keep that as an option for you going forward. But let's that is my top 5. Let's talk about some other options that I haven't mentioned here. Errol Goulden, I just don't think I'd be doing that this week, especially if he does get up. I just don't think I'd be trading into him straight away. There may be some management. Obviously, coming off that shoulder injury, he'll probably more than likely be out in the wing, which is still very fruitful for Errol Goulden here. But I think I'm just willing to wait and see. He is still very expensive. I think if he was 100k cheaper, then it's a bit more of an option. But yeah, not quite right now unless you're looking to go super unique and just get ahead of the pack. If you don't know Jordan Dawson, obviously he's a great option, but I assumed everyone traded him a couple weekends ago. Hewitt is again another left field sort of cheaper option if you're looking for a guy. He's been pretty good for the last 2 weeks. Just back to where he belongs in that midfield, getting plenty of disposals, getting plenty of marks, and probably should be tackling a little bit more Pardon me. So should be tackling a little bit more than what he is, but yeah, expecting those tight, tougher games to be coming, and he'll definitely rack up at some stage. So he's another good option, but again, still a ways off of the top line. Sorry, headphones fell down. Moving on though, let's keep going along. Lockie Neal is also a decent option if you wanted to save that 100k uh, from Isaac Heaney or a Zach Merritt. He's been pretty solid so far this year, but he probably does run into a tag the next couple of weeks, so that's why I've sort of just brushed him off as a not a top five option. He probably pops a James Jordan and then an O'Shea Mullen the week after, so I think I'll be avoiding that one for now. And then we're sort of into more unique areas like Brayshaw. I just don't think I'll be doing. Walsh, a lot of us traded out after on his buy, so I just don't think we'll be going back there at this stage. So that's where I'm at with the midfielders. Let's move into Ruckman. I don't think there's too many options that we're looking at here. It's just by far it is Luke Jackson. If you are trading into this zone, he's obviously returned to some form last week, highest score of the season. If you didn't know that. And he's got a pretty good run coming up. Like Wits, that is red on the scale, but we know Jackson does make light work of these matchups because he is so athletic, so he'll just be able to outrun Wits and Moyle around the ground, so he should get the job done. Then after that, like the Giants is a really good strong matchup, so he should be good there. Grundy's obviously looking a bit underdone at this stage, so he has a pretty strong run to finish off the season. So I definitely can encourage people to jump on him this weekend if you are in a bit more of a luxurious position to be able to sideways your your ruckman. But Brody Grundy's sort of the next best option if you are looking to make a bit of a shuffle. But again, he's looking a bit tired. Goes into a tough matchup against uh, Draper and McCann. What's his name? McInerney? Yeah, whatever his name is. Anyways, he's just not looking great. So I think the buy definitely would have helped him. But yeah, we'll have to. I think it's someone I'd wait and see, not jumping straight onto it there. So that is the ruck line. Moving into the forward line, we will talk about my number one trading target is Sam Durham. He's just got that role. He's scoring well in the midfield. Yeah, what more can you ask for from in the forward line? Really, he's got a great role as a full time midfielder. Scoring great, got North Melbourne, so he should score quite well in that matchup. Didn't do particularly well in the first game, I should add, like round three, only had the 45 points, but we know he was playing a much different role in that game, or in that first half of the season, where he was playing a lot more half forward. But now, full time midfielder, the only thing I guess I should mention with the risk about trading in Sam Durham is that obviously Parrish and Caldwell are expected to be back this weekend. I think on the injury report they are. If I go back to it real quick, I do have it open here. Parrish is a test, and a Caldwell is no longer on the list, so he is expected to be back. Yes, Caldwell is set to return. So that is two pretty big inclusions that could come into that midfield quite quickly. Obviously, they have no other position to play. Maybe a Caldwell can play 50-50 midfield and forward, but Parrish just has to be in the midfield. He doesn't know how to play any other position. So that's the only risk when it comes to Sam Durham, but I think he's the stable magnet in there. Guys like Setterfield and Sardis will probably be removed from the side or moved around to accommodate these two. I think Sam Durham is the rock in there at this stage. So he's a great option at number one. Number two, I still have John DeGoey. He's finding a huge ceiling. He's got a great matchup. He is getting quite expensive now, though, but I dare say he's probably number two in the forward line at this stage with the way he's performing. He's just going really, really well. 111 in his last three, 106 in his last five. He's definitely putting up really strong numbers to put himself in the top category of the forward line. And considering he was 600k only, 5 or 6 weeks ago now, it's just crazy to think he's absolutely flown up in cash in that time. which is just, yeah, he's been a great pick for a lot of us that did jump on him early. But if you haven't got him yet, he should still continue to be pretty strong. He's got a great matchup this weekend, as I mentioned, and even the week after is going to be pretty strong. North, so the next 3 weeks is pretty good. Following that point will be a bit up and down, but still has some okay ones in there. So I just think I'd be jumping on him quite quickly. Brent Daniels is still a good option from last week. He's still cheap, 600, so it's 760k. Was a little bit disappointing on the weekend with the 76, but you know he's going to have these lower scores. You're happy with something around an 80 plus. If that's on his lower end, and we know that was a Carlton, which is a tougher matchup at the moment because they are applying a lot of pressure. Uh, so I think he'll definitely bounce back in some easier matchups to come. But again, the easy matchups aren't quite coming quickly enough. He's got Hawks this weekend, which is bit of a mediocre sort of matchup, especially for midfielders. He should be okay there. But Fremantle's the real tough one. The Cats are okay, assuming he won't cop attention there. Finn will definitely do that. Then Essen's good, and then Swans are also tough. So a bit of a tougher run coming for him. That's why he is a little bit further down this list, but still a great option if you are looking to trade into a forward. Number 4, I've got a bit more of a spicy one in Darcy Byrne-Jones. Now, he could have been a defender, could have been a forward. Realistically, I put him more in the forward camp just because obviously we are struggling. Sorry, the forwards average a lot less than the defenders at this stage. So, but with Farrell out for an extended period of time, if I show you that, he's got a groin injury. Where is he? He's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Uh, Dusty Burn Jones has seemingly taken a bit more of a responsibility down back, going back to his halfback days, and he put up a nice 131 on the weekend in a good matchup without Farrell. And we had seen that a few weeks ago. I think it was against West Coast, 73. He took a lot more kick-ins, and I flagged it there that if Farrell were to go down, then Darcy Byrne Jones sort of comes a bit of an option as a half-backer that can put up some decent scores. So I think he's a great option. Low break even. It is against Adelaide, obviously, the showdown is the only concern there for me. But going forward, he should be okay. Some decent matchups to come. And again, 750k, you can't really complain too much there. If you're looking for a cheap forward option, he can definitely provide that. And he's very unique from what I imagine. Yeah, less than 1%. So if you're looking for a unique option, you can't go past Darcy Byrne-Jones. Yeah, he's getting it done in the defensive line at this stage. And then I've thrown in Jason on Francis at number 5. If you're, again, looking to just secure your forward line, then you can't go past Torn Francis. He's again been putting up his hands in some very good performances. Last 4, he's put up a couple of tons and yeah, put up some decent 90s and 80s. So can't go past him there, but he is very expensive. So that's why I think I prefer the cheaper options. That 150k definitely can be very vital going forward, especially as we go back into 2 trades next week to be able to get those trade options that you're looking for. So that is my top 5. Again, a couple other options I haven't spoken about. A Warner, yeah, he's in that purple patch at the moment, but that will probably come to an end very, very quickly. So I'll just avoid that one and watch from the outside. Rankin, he nearly made my top 5. I think I got a good option, but yeah, the obviously the injury concern still is something very fresh. So yeah, I think it's someone that I will let through to the keeper for a little while until I'm really looking to upgrade and sideways these mid-price options that aren't performing quite well. I just think the cheaper options that are 150k cheaper are going to get close enough to him. So I think we'll let that one slide through as well. Murphy Reed, it's a hard one for me because I've owned him all season. Started with him, and he's someone that I've looked at trading out for an extended period of time. So it feels very weird to sort of just switch very quickly to be, he's a trade-in option, but he does have a great matchup. His role looked a lot better in the last week where he was playing a full-time midfielder, but they have a lot of guys that can run through there. I'm very skeptical to say that he's going to stay there long term. Guys like your Sarongs, your Brayshaws, your Hayden Youngs, those are the guys they want in the midfield. Same with Bolton. So is Murphy Reed going to be there long term? I just don't think so. So I think let him slide through, and that's probably about it. We're getting into some very unique sort of areas realistically. So that is the forwards. Now let's not forget the cheaper guys because I do that all the time. So anyone under 400k as a downgrade options, who's the best option? And that is none other than Marcus Herbert. I think he's the best option this weekend. 259k. We saw what he was able to do in his first game with a 61 score against North Melbourne. He was playing off halfback. He really showed that he can take the game on. So I fully expect him to be named again this weekend and take a pretty big role in off halfback for West Coast. Even with McCarthy back, I think he will definitely hold his spot. I don't expect him to be dropped. So he's very cheap for what he can do. He's someone that I think can generate a lot of cash for us, and he's just everything that we really want at the moment. He's a cheap rookie that can score well. We have confident that he's going to have great job security. Obviously, coming out of the mid-season draft, and he should be there for a while. So yeah, he's absolutely everything that we're sort of looking for at this stage. So I'd much rather go with him over these next couple of guys that are a little bit more expensive at this stage. So just get him in your side. He is the number one trade in so far this weekend, I believe. So at 12,000. So absolutely get on that one. Number two, I did have Kai And, or however you pronounce it. He's nearly 300k. He's a defender, so he's the defender option if you're looking for one. Uh, Great matchup against the Pies this weekend. He's gone back to back 50s, so not too bad. Good time on ground. Bit more of a key defender, I think, just that taller type that can intercept, so he will be okay. But yeah, we know these players can have lower scores every now and then. But Richmond, they obviously do concede a lot of points, so they will have a lot of ball in the halfback. So he is still a good option. But I think I'd obviously just prefer Herbert going forward. Number three, I still have Mitch Pod here. He's still under 300k, so if you're looking for a forward option, he's definitely the one of the bunch. He's got Richmond this weekend, so expecting a bit of a pop score for him. Maybe can hit a 70. That would be quite nice. But yeah, time on ground's a bit lower than what we want it to be for someone of his age. But again, he's sort of the only forward option that we have available to us, so I'd be picking him up if you need him there. Then a couple others. Joe Murray doesn't quite fit into this category of sub 400k, but he is over 400k unfortunately, so that's why he is further down the list. But if you're projecting your side to have a rookie on field, going in out of the buys, then I'd be comfortable fielding a Joe Murray going forward next week because he does have some decent matchups from that point onwards and has shown a good way of scoring. Like he's hitting all stat lines. He's not in the greatest role, but he's finding a way to get it done. We know he has good VFL numbers or whatever league they play in over there. But yeah, so I think if he's an option for those guys that need him as a fieldable option going forward, but probably not someone I'd be looking to pay up for this week. If you're looking to complete your team, you just want to be spending as little as possible, maximizing your cash on those premiums going forward. Then number five, I had Xavier Barnett. He's been showing some good signs, like 53 and 69, hitting the scoreboard. Playing more of half forward than anything, but is still doing pretty well and looks like he can play. So, yeah, he's a good option, but yeah, definitely behind those other rookie options at this stage. You can't have them all, but yeah, it's definitely plenty of options for anybody at this stage. So that is probably about it for the downgrade targets. Let's finish off the video with obviously the top five trade targets of the round for myself. Let's just get back to where we want to be. This looks about right. So to top off my top five for the round, I have gone with Marcus Herbert as my number one option. Just if you're looking for a rookie, he is the one that you want to grab. So get him in. Number two, I've gone with Zach Merritt as the midfield upgrade of the week. Again, super consistent and should be stable in your side for the remainder of the season. So he is number two for me. Number three is close behind is Isaac Heaney. Great option. And yeah, I've said my flags, but he should be still one that can be very consistent going forward. So he's number three. Number four, I've gone with Sam Durham as that forward option. Should again very cheap. good rate roll, and should be pretty stable in a pretty fraudulent forward line. So he's a great option at number 4. And then number 5, as your defender upgrade or degrade, downgrade if you're, you know, obviously playing around there, is Luke Parker for me, going into an Essendon matchup. And then obviously Port, the Pies, Melbourne, and St Kilda going forward should be someone that you can hold for an extended period of time to finish off your side, and then you can start to sideways your premiums in the meantime. So that is my plan this week. Trade going into my trades real quick. So I don't think it's changed too much from the trade video. I've obviously on Archie Roberts to Luke Parker, Sinclair to Merritt, and then Rechko to Herbert. Banking 366k to be able to target guys like your Nasiah or Baz going into next week from guys like Cumming and a Farrow potentially. So getting money off the field, really using that, and then that will complete my side going out of the buys, and then I can start sidewaysing some premiums from that point onwards, because I do have obviously guys like I have a lot of forwards. I will say that I've obviously got Sheasel and Durham in my midfield at this stage, so I do have 8 forwards in my side, and obviously they will start to drip out of my side as we get into luxury season trading, and I can get to the best midfielders possible. So maybe guys like Connor McDonald will be dropping out of my forward line at some stage, and I can flick Durham and Cheezel back forward, and then I can make some tougher calls around the rest of them, like a Petrarca who's been pretty poor over his last 3 weeks, but do we expect him to return to some form? It's a tough one, but he's okay for now. Daniels, will see how he sort of progresses. Same with Durham, like he's no safe option. So there's definitely a couple of options that we'll be looking to jump off of, but everything else I'm pretty happy with. Obviously, Amon will be someone that can go eventually as well. I will obviously need to be targeting Nasiah and Holmes at some stage to be those locked in top guys, but yeah, we'll get to that at some stage. But overall, the team's looking pretty strong this week. I've only got the how many? I've got two premiums on the field this week in Wilkie and Bonds, and that's it. So I should hopefully have a pretty strong finish to the buys. But yeah, that's where we're at. So stay tuned for captains. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward week. You can already sort of project what I'm doing this week. I think a lot of people will be doing this, but yeah, stay tuned for captains next tomorrow. So hopefully you have enjoyed today's video, guys. Please leave a like, subscribe, and do all those great things as you always do. Any questions down below, I will answer them the best I can. Besides that, I will see you next time. Cheers, guys.
All the pain.